Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second minute of and you're in the 60-second. I'm going to take that again. We're going to take it again. We're going to take it again.
Fair.
We're just going to take it again. Hello, and welcome, everybody, to the 60-second car. Rev your engines, lock the door, put the windows up, turn off the air conditioning. That's about the amount of racing things that I know. And welcome to the second minute of the 1 minute at a time podcast about the Fast and the Furious franchise. My name is Dan, or otherwise known as Danotage all over the internet. I am joined today, as always, by my lovely co-host, Daniel, aka Overcord on everything, and the host of the Far Beyond Metal podcast, where can we talk about this podcast a little bit more? You do some really cool stuff on it.
Well, before we do that, I already have questions about
okay.
your extensive racing knowledge. Maybe obvious to some people. Why do you turn off the AC? I'm somebody who runs hot, so I don't want to do that.
Yeah. So it sucks. It's a thing you don't want to do because it's very hot most of the time when you're racing. But air conditioning takes power off your engine.
Interesting.
So you get the most out of it, and you roll up the windows while having the AC off, so that you get less drag.
Okay, that I guess, but the AC, I guess I didn't know.
You have to race in this sweltering heat, yeah.
Definitely not my sport. So Far Beyond Metal is an interview podcast I do where I talk to people in and around the world of heavy metal about, I don't know, I described it once as Bullseye with Jesse Thorne, but heavy. And so one thing I realized about heavy metal is you kind of never really grow out of like the thinking somebody as a rock star is like kind of a superhero sort of thing. So you never really get over the fanboy thing. So I just do that. So I meet my heroes and an excuse they promote their thing. I nerd out on them. It's a great time.
Well, and like I think this is perfect because like metal folks, we all kind of see each other as a family as well. Like metal folks we're not all the same, but there is a very easy common thread to find in most every situation that you find with your other metal folks. I think it's pretty easy to become friends pretty quickly. I mean, Dan, you and I have a commonality in the fact that we listen to a lot of the same music and stuff like that, and I think that's easy to find there. And I think that there's still today there's a weird stigma about metal music, and when I talk to some people, they're like, it's just screaming and yelling. I'm like, I'm tired of fighting you on this.
A few years ago, I was out for a walk with my wife, and I was wearing this shirt I got where it's like a bear and it has an inverted cross on its forehead to be like metal, and it's throwing up the horns. And it may have 666. I think it has 666 on it. I think it's like the cutest, weirdest metal shirt. And I'm wearing that out, and I see this guy who's jogging on the sidewalk towards me, and he's wearing, I think, a Black Dahlia Murder shirt. And before I can say nice shirt, he says, I love your shirt. And I just scream, I love you. And so he and I haven't seen him since, but we're combined spirits forever because of metal. And that's a beautiful thing that we have.
The siblings. Just like the energies of the universe that bring so many people and so many life forms to be attracted towards Dominic Toretto in the Fast and the Furious entire franchise, which we are recording. We are starting to record this whole entire podcast before Fast X is out in theaters. I don't know what to expect, but there's so many people in it, and we know that it's going to be just as insane as others, and I'm ready for it.
Now, when that comes out, I'm assuming we're both going to go see it in theaters. Do we do an emergency side episode, or are we going to have to wait 6 years to talk about it?
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like we have to, I feel like it would be a disservice to just wait. I feel like we have to maybe do a initial thoughts or like reaction thoughts about it, right?
Maybe, yeah, something.
Like, we don't have to go into detail, obviously, especially because, like, you know, spoilers and whatnot, and I'm sure people want to see it as much as we do. But like, yeah, I feel like it would be a disservice to be like, we saw it, but we'll talk about it in about 300 episodes.
Yeah. I guess we should do some little something. It's funny. We're on episode 2. As of this recording, we don't have a single episode out. We're already like, all right, so we have to do a side quest, right?
Well, right. I mean, you know, this is we talked about this off air, but I think we should talk about this on here. I've been thinking and wanting to do this podcast specifically for a few years now, and I will say that. So this movie that we're covering right now, and maybe a couple other movies in the future, were kind of, I think, guilty pleasures. Obviously, as I got older and was like, no, I don't really care if people think this franchise is stupid. I absolutely love it, and I'm just gonna own it. I'm gonna be an adult and own it. But I think in my teenage years, 2001 on, I think I was feeling a little guilty for being like, I love every single moment of these movies.
I was such a not car person that when I thought they were just street racing movies, I was on the other side, just being like, people who like this movie are dumb. And I'd see it's like a rise in people like revving their cars, lowering them, making like them big, loud, fast things in my shitty little farm town I grew up in, and just being like, guys, come on, what are you doing?
That's absolutely fair, because that is exactly what happened. Like I said before, the movie came out, and all of a sudden you had lowered Honda Civics, you had lowered Subarus, and you had all these cars that were getting poured money into, and it's impossible you can't sit here and say that the movie didn't do something to encourage that, right? And
Absolutely.
I wasn't that guy, but I was the guy that was like looking at all these cars like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. I don't know what the heck that's all about, but that's cool. I also would like to think that it was the reason for legislation at some point, because I'm pretty sure that neon lights and the lights under the cars became illegal a little bit after this movie got really popular.
Oh, is that illegal? I just saw like a picture of a car similar to mine that had neon lights. I'm like, do I want neon lights?
I'm pretty sure like you're not supposed to drive with those lights, but you can like park with them on. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that there was a big stink about, and maybe it's changed since then, because this is back when, I think maybe the second movie was coming out when that legislation passed through. They're like, yeah, you can't, or at least in California. I don't know about anywhere else, but you can't
That's probably
drive
right
with
there.
those lights on. Yeah, probably. Yeah, it varies from state to state. That would make sense. But yeah, this podcast has been in my head for a long time. If I would have known that you were into this series as much as you are, I would have asked you immediately a couple years ago. But again, the reason I bring it up as like sort of a guilty pleasure is the family's not necessarily fully open out there, and I think there are a lot of people that were like me and maybe still are like how I was, who kind of keep it in the guilty pleasure category. But I'm glad to know that you so this is I get weird every time I say the family, because the family in the music sense can very much refer to the Wacky Circus Gang, and I don't know if we're all about the whoop whoops and the
Okay, it took me a second to get there. I was thinking I know Charles Manson has albums. Does he mean that family? No.
no. Wait, he does. Oh, that's right, he does. I did.
Yeah,
he
covered the Beatles.
I forgot about that. Oh no, I forgot that that's referred to as the family tune. No. Now it's even weirder.
I have the first idea for our merch. We're getting way ahead of ourselves. Charles Manson, family, Fast and Furious font. This is a terrible idea.
Oh no. Oh Jesus. Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh man. There's lots of different families. For when we refer to the family, we're talking. I almost have to say it in the family voice, like a really bad Vin Diesel voice, in order for people to know exactly what we're saying. Because that's what we mean. We mean Vin Diesel saying family and all about his family, because that's what matters. And you and I have been friends for so long, we're basically family anyway. So
True.
It's been so like yeah, so I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I was like, who can I get that is both into this and willing to be on every episode for the hundreds of episodes that we possibly have in the future, and then I was like, oh, and then Katie, my partner, mentioned, oh, Daniel is totally into this, and he wants to do all kinds of podcasts. I'm sure he'd be down. And then immediately I text you, and immediately you're like, yeah, I'm in.
Yep.
So can I ask, what were some of the first thoughts that came to your mind when thinking about how we can do this?
I mean, I threw a bunch of math at you, and I got stressed out about how many episodes there would be, because I'm used to listening to my favorite podcast weekly, and then just minute by minute being so daunting. But then we cracked it down. We divided it by 3 or something. Wait, no, I think it's right. Yeah, so that'll be fine. But I became really excited for the prospect of doing this, but like we said in the last episode, there are a few different type of camps for Fast fans. Mm-hmm. And of the 3 camps you described, go back to listen to episode 1 to hear all 3 of them. I'm probably number 3, which is where I am more into the crazy stakes of the later movies. And I think the first one is a little, it's crazy, but it's like a little too grounded for what I want in these series. So like right now I'm like, okay, I'm seeing the seeds of what this becomes that I love, but like right now, this movie is not my favorite of these movies. So like right now, dread is not the word. Absolutely not. We're going to have fun. I've already had fun taking notes for the minutes I've watched, but I'm just like, there's going to be a point when it's just like, they're just being sweaty at a party. And I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah.
Or when these movies are about street racing, like the street racing scenes, I won't have anything to say. Or will I? We'll see. Tune in.
I think this movie will have something to say. There are bits, there are pieces of the racing scenes where you're like, and I think that is very much a theme of these movies, where if you think about how they're done, as far as racing goes, or as far as like a lot of action pieces goes, these movies are very much like an anime. And I'm sure Vin Diesel is very much, that's his doing, because he's very much into anime. But there's always something weird happening during the race. There's always a quip. There's always a shot that is strange. In this movie specifically, there's some weird effects. There's always something happening. And I think you'll have a lot more to say than you think that you will during those scenes.
I actually just remembered one thing that stuck out to me that I am stressed about.
Okay.
In every movie, there's going to be an episode where you and I are going to have to just talk about a long shot of people's butts.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And like, I guess I can. I don't know. I don't know how those episodes are going to go. We'll see. We'll see what notes I take, because I have copious notes, and maybe I'll get my wife in here and we'll rank them or something.
yeah. We'll bring both the wives in. We'll make. Yeah. Can you guys talk about the scantily clad women? Because I don't think we feel comfortable doing that. Yeah, I mean, we'll spend more time talking about the shirtless guys as well. We'll balance it out. It'll be fine. But yeah, so it's let's get into minute 2 of the Fast and the Furious.
So in this second minute, John Ireland and Dorothy Malone are trying to get away from the cops, I think. That'll be the last time I bring up the 1954 one. I think
I think you should bring it up every time. I think you should do your own mini 60-second car of the Fast and the Furious.
So I have to find this movie now. Maybe.
Did you wait? How do you know these first parts? Are you making them up?
I made it up. I had the Wikipedia plot, and I'm just reading a different sentence this time.
All right, I'm into that too. That's great. I will watch none of it, and I will get it all through you. I think I will visualize everything. I should draw out you describing the minute.
Sure. And then we'll put that out as an animated thing.
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm not a good artist. This will be bad. But the first minute of the 2001 The Fast and the Furious, we open with. We're gonna open it like each one of these is its own movie, because they essentially are. We open with seeing for the first time, essentially, we'll call these the main characters because they get mentioned about 100 times throughout this movie. The 3 black Honda Civics with green neon lighting underneath the chassis. They're driving down the highway right behind this truck that has been the main character of last episode. And they're running fast. They're driving.
No other cars on this freeway in LA. Normal thing.
Right.
Yeah.
What's funny is like, so as I mentioned last episode, they went from like midday to like early evening, late afternoon to pitch black, but what seems to be roughly the same area of LA and a lot of the industrial side of everything. So I don't think they went very far, but the sun very much went away.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the guy had to remind his contact to pay him his cut, and that's what all this was. He kept trying to get a hold of him, and couldn't, and finally got a hold of him. Okay, he got his cut. You can go now. And then that's where we are now. It's been 6 hours. He's got his cut. Never see him again. We're on a vague. Go ahead.
No, do you think that the guy has a ringback tone?
Oh, on that phone? If he did, it's Crazy Frog, but that phone might predate Crazy Frog.
Crazy Frog also just makes race car noises, so it's perfect.
Ding 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 ding.
I'm pretty sure he's got like an old timey like car hat with the goggles and everything. So that's perfect.
Crazy Frog is family.
Crazy Frog is family. Yeah, also bald, I think. So it works out. It's perfect. Do you feel a brotherhood with Vin Diesel and The Rock?
Yeah, I think they got into being bald the same reason I did. They didn't want to go get their hair cut when they had barely any hair, so the cheaper option was to buy a $6 razor and just take care of it yourself. So I think that's ultimately what their deal was, and they have really leaned into it, and they're powerful men, and I strive for that. I just don't want to do a sit-up, so...
If Katie wouldn't kill me, I might be right there.
You don't do that. Look at you.
It's so much easier. It feels like it'd be such a weight literally off my shoulders.
If I could, I would have long hair. And when I did have long hair, I had big long hair. Like I looked like Murderface from Death Clock. It was just like wide and like had a little and like didn't get past my shoulders even when it was at its longest. It just got like wider and wider. And oh man, I wonder what my life would be like if I still had my long, glorious locks.
All right, Murderface is a handsome guy, but I want to put that out there. But you are far more handsome than Murderface. Oh man, I did love that show though. Can we get Brendan Small on? He probably has something to say about all this.
Probably.
I think that'd be perfect. Wait, have you done an interview with him?
Not for Far Beyond Metal, but for what was that? Metal Insider. When I wrote for them, they are a metal news website that's secretly run by a promotion company, and I think it's not really secret. If you look at the bottom, it says the name.
I'm sure most of those places are. Yeah.
Right. So they basically floated interviews with their artists, and one of them was Brendan Small, and I was like, yeah, I want to talk to Brendan Small, and I talked to him in Oakland before a show with Machine Head. And before I got on the bus, the like tour manager stopped me and went, "What's his first name?" I went, "Brendan." He's like, "What'd you say?" I went, "Brendan." He's like, "Okay, you didn't say Brandon. You can get on the bus." I guess the last guy or somebody said Brandon, and then maybe he was mad because like first part of research, what's their name?
I get it. I'm into that because that like right there, that would probably. I mean, I can't say this because a lot of people have gotten my username incorrect a lot of the time, but I can't blame them for that. It's just kind of how it's spelled. I've gotten Danotage. I've got one friend who lived in Japan for a while called me Danotage, so I guess that made sense. It
just occurred to me Danotang like an orangutan.
Could do that. Good merch idea. Writing it down.
Please keep that one. That'll be your next run of pins.
Pins, yeah, and then have a fake Tang container that he's holding. He's just holding a fake Tang container. It'd be great. But yeah, like I don't know. It feels like you have to that would be weird to be like, I'm going to interview this guy. There's probably tons of people that want to interview him, and then all of a sudden you just say kind of the wrong name. Actually, it's very much the wrong name, spelled different. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we got here.
Heist. We're talking about a heist. Heists are sick.
So again, I don't know how many people watching the trailer, getting ready for this movie, knew it was going to be a heist movie or about heists in general. Because that, while not the characters, kind of like not really the character building, but very much the plot throughout the entire movie is about catching these these thieves, right? And I don't think anybody knew that was really how it went. Maybe I'm wrong and remembering the trailers differently, but we see this, and technically we still have no idea who these people are. Granted, that's part of the story, but in this first minute we see the heist going down.
Right.
One of these scenes we have who are, and this is weird. This is the craziest part, because everybody in this scene are obviously stunt people. We know this because I don't know of any features from this scene that where we can tell these are the characters who they're supposed to be.
You know, on this rewatch that I'm doing for this podcast, it didn't occur to me that we knew who these people were. I have completely forgotten the plot, I guess.
Okay. All right. Well, then I guess that was the point, and that sort of sold it, right? Because you don't know who they are. And I guess the only way to really figure out that is to count the people that are involved in this. But yeah, you sort of have a lot of shadowy figures and a lot of figures where we don't know who they are. They're driving black Civics with green undercarriage neon tint. From what I'm looking at in one of these screenshots, they don't have like the Honda badges on or anything, so they're very much stealth, I guess. And they're about to take this truck.
Yeah, and they do so via grappling hooks, because knowing who they are now when they're doing this heist, where the hell do these people get grappling hooks? And multiple of them.
I don't know if this is something that they heisted before. Maybe that's the understory of who this guy on the phone calling up, who needs to make sure he gets his cut. Maybe he's the guy. Maybe he's the quartermaster for everything. Maybe I don't know.
I was very impressed with this. Like, I forgot how cool like this scene really is. Like the grappling hook thing, they shoot one, they take off the windshield, one chunk, great. Like, of course that was going to happen. That's exactly how they planned it. And then they use a second grappling hook to get in the truck. But I have a question during both these shots. Mm-hmm. This guy is driving this truck down, again, the incredibly vacant LA freeway, and is suddenly flanked by all these cars. Why doesn't he make any sort of moves to like sabotage them or slam on his brakes or anything like that? He basically just drives there and takes the heist.
I've got a screenshot for this. So in this scene, when he actually does make the jump to the truck, the guy on top of the car, who comes out the sunroof, by the way, and makes the jump from the car to the truck, in the screenshot and in the actual like live footage, he's just chilling. The guy's just driving like it's normal. He's like, "Oh, wait, let me make sure let me get this lined up for you so that you don't fall to your death." He looks like it's perfect.
Like, I know this is a stunt driver and they have to focus to make sure they're safe, but the next shots are when the guy is in the truck. And the truck driver, clearly this is not his first rodeo. He has a bat at the ready. He's ready to take on this person like it's in a holster. And of the people that we now are assuming this are based on future minutes, who is this jumping in the truck? So
that is something that I think can be debated, because if we think about who they are and we think about what happens in the final scene, well, the second final scene of the movie, it's either the dude that we never see again ever out of everybody in this, everybody is seen again except for one obvious person, but this guy is never seen again throughout the entire franchise. Or you have the dude that Vince, who doesn't like Paul Walker's character, Brian. And this is why it can be debated, because in the final scene we only see the guy that we never see again, because I'm already forgetting his name. We only see him driving in the final scene and watching the radios. So either that's his role, because we see this in another very, very early scene, that his role is he knows how to work a radio scanner, a police scanner. That's kind of like his strength, I guess. If that's his role, then that would imply that the first person who shot the window has to be the mad scientist, the guy who is kind of all over the place and the very skinny and doesn't really fit the profile of who we see in the actual shot in this scene. So yeah. it could be any of them. I don't know.
You just reminded me, my grandma and my uncle, when I was growing up, they just had a police scanner in their home. So for that guy to be that guy's skill, he just knows how to turn a dial.
Yes.
Cool. And it's a analog dial. So in 2001, they probably still were up on their analog dials. Now kids these days, could they even turn a dial?
Are there any dials to turn? I guess if you're a musician, yes, but other than that, not really.
I think the only knobs I interact with regularly are on my guitar and my pedals. And my volume knob on my car, but I have an older car. I had a rental recently because my car was getting some work and it was all touchscreen and buttons and just, nah. Clearly my age is showing when I'm like, I can't work the radio.
Same. I have a Bluetooth. It acts as a Bluetooth and a charger that plugs in the cigarette lighter. I plug the charger into my phone, and then the Bluetooth goes to the cigarette lighter Bluetooth receiver, and then that's got an auxiliary cord that plugs into my car.
Man,
we got old cars.
Yeah.
Before that, I drove my great grandmother's car, where I put a cassette receiver into the cassette player, and then that had an auxiliary cord that I plugged into my phone.
Those were the days.
Yeah. That's the stuff for you.
Back when phones had headphone jacks, kids.
Yeah. Imagine. Now you have to buy a $50, $60, $70 adapter to do that.
Which are just commonly referred to as, and officially referred to as, dongles, which, how did we get there? But that'll be a different podcast. That's
the dongle podcast? Okay. I want to do that one.
Dan on dongles.
Yeah, I was also reminded from Katie in the live portion of this that we didn't have this podcast, but we did talk about doing it, which was the Daniel podcast, where it was you and me, and we would try to always try to interview a famous Daniel.
Yeah, Dan and Dan on Dan. We did a pilot episode that I think you recorded. I don't know what happened to it, but it was about Danny DeVito, sort of.
Probably. It's somewhere. I probably have it. I have all my hard drives.
And I think that was about it. But since then, Doug Benson now has The Wide World of Doug's, where it's the same thing about people named Doug. So he stole our idea.
That Doug Benson, the guy's been podcasting since, I don't know, forever.
Yeah. He's one of the first ones I listened to.
Podcasters. Yeah. I mean, Doug Loves Movies. I listen to it every now and then. Not a guy that adapted the whole internet part of recording podcasts very well, but he still did it. And Doug Loves Movies is still going, and it's been going for, I think, 15 years,
something like that. Yeah,
it's been a long time. But yeah, enough about other podcasts that don't exist ever, and this is the only one in the entire planet and universe where we talk about cars and stuff, I guess. We have exactly what that is. I don't know who each individuals are. Obviously, we can assume that Michelle Rodriguez's character Letty is driving one of them. She might even be the one that is also in this scene that drives underneath the truck.
Such a stressful thing. I have a small car. I drive a Mini Cooper. I think about doing that under trucks, but I don't. I want to. I'm so scared. And when I did it, it stressed me out.
Do you get the same feeling from? Did you see the Italian Job?
Oh yeah, of course. See, I like this. I like to tell people I got a Mini Cooper for two reasons. The cool answer is the Italian Job because it's a commercial for Mini Coopers and it works. The real answer is Mr. Bean.
Sure, I can see that. Yep.
Because Mr. Bean drives a Mini, and they're goofy little cars. And I'm a goofy little guy in my goofy little car.
Oh, you're such a goofy little guy.
But like, I watch these movies and I think like, I could go fast. I could heist, right? No. You're not coordinated enough. I would go into the car or go into a truck, misjudge it by like a centimeter, take off my roof, wind up under the tires, a bad time. I would not get any DVD players.
Oh man, we're gonna keep getting reminded that that's what these guys are stealing. They're stealing VHSs and tube TVs or CRT TVs.
What would it be now? That new thing where it's like AirPods, but also it's an iPod. That thing that they got a patent for, or something.
iPods You'll that see. Are also an iPod. AirPods that are also an iPod.
There's something that Apple patented recently where it's like a iPod or AirPod case with like a touchscreen so you can play music. So it's like,
oh, I didn't even know about this.
We'll see if it comes out, but because they're getting a lot of shit for it. But I think it's kind of fun.
Could you theoretically steal a truck full of NFTs?
What would that truck look like?
Maybe. Oh, we do have these trucks in LA that are trucks, flatbed trailer, and then a big screen on it.
Yeah.
That is the digital billboard. Maybe it's something like that.
If someone told me that's what NFTs were, I'd have to believe them. Yeah. I technically think I have about 6 that I got from buying concert tickets because they just
give them to you.
Because I think instead of getting cheaper tickets, Live Nation thinks I want an NFT of that time I saw Jack White. No, I don't want that.
Is it the ticket? Is the NFT the ticket? Like a picture of the ticket?
It's like a virtual ticket, and you can see it in the app, and it's like a 3D rendering that you can spin around and look at the back of a digital piece of paper, and it kind of looks like a ticket stub, and it says the date that you saw whoever this was.
Cool. All right. Yeah. I saw.
Not cool. Hate it.
Hoobastink is my Hoobastink NFT.
Now I'm gonna see how many I actually have because I got some tickets today and they already sent me my virtual ticket and I got mad. So that's why I'm reminded of them.
I mean, yeah, I'm all for digital tickets, but making them not cheaper because they're quote unquote NFTs is a crime. It's a crime against humanity. Because like that has been such a big thing that like, yeah, that would be the modern version of this movie. If the new movie was anything like these new movie or these old movies, I am genuinely curious what they would be stealing.
I don't think there'd be cars involved. It'd probably just be all like ransomware.
Hackermans, I'm in.
It would just be Seth Green's character in the Italian Job. Just like going airport to airport screaming as he's hacking into stuff.
The Napster? You mean the Napster?
I guess I do. Well, I apparently don't know my password to look at my NFTs, so that's probably for the best. What happened in the second minute?
The second minute is so there's obviously some maneuvering. There's one in front and 2 on each side. This truck driver is just driving. And then one pulls up because there's 3 cars, but there's 2, 4, 5 of them, right? I think there's Vin Diesel's character, there's Michelle Rodriguez's character. So you have Dom, you have Letty, you have Vince, and then you have the other 2. So yeah, that's 5. 3 cars, 2 in 2 cars. So I presume you have is Dom in his own car just chilling? I know in the final scene he's driving Vince in front of the truck, but like maybe that's the other dude that's on the radio watching the radio. Maybe that's his whole thing. He's in his own car, just radio's working. The radio's on.
I think this is one of the few times they carpool in this entire series franchise, because they like to drive their own cars and not have passengers. So I guess if there's a mission, they'll use buddy system.
Until the really new ones, when they have the tech people. So you have Tej, and then you have the English woman who also does a bunch of tech stuff. But like, yeah, for the most part, they all almost always have their own car. I remember in the scene where they go to the last heist, they take 2 cars, even though technically they can all fit into one. But whatever, nobody sits in the back seat, that's for sure.
They weren't worried about gas prices then.
No, they're not, and we'll talk about this later in this movie too. But in the final few scenes, that car that they build drives all over Los Angeles, and we never see them fill up. So this movie is very much a Los Angeles porn movie, where they show off tons of pieces of Los Angeles. It also makes no sense. You turn a corner in this neighborhood and you end up in a totally different neighborhood, like in this scene where the only way you could do that, even close to doing that, is that they are like in this scene where there's no traffic, which we all know that's exactly how Los Angeles is. Mm-hmm. There's no traffic ever. It's just always clear as day. But what we have here is he makes it into the truck, and he gets hit a couple times by the bat. I think he gets hit in the helmet and then maybe in the arm, and he's getting beat up with this guy who's yoked. By the way, this truck driver has been working out.
Can you go back to the last screenshot you have?
This one where he's hanging off the front? Yes,
thank you. Never mind. I thought for some reason there was hat continuity errors, but we're fine. There's a hat there.
Oh, that's a different guy. The driver's different.
But like, is he wearing a hat? That's what's important.
He's wearing a hat. I know this is like McGuire's or something. They make like the oil or whatever, and it's like car stuff.
Oil.
Or they do like, I don't know. They do like the cleaning chemical stuff. I don't know. They do something for cleaning cars. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, definitely a different guy. And he's, I mean, is he wearing a hat? He might not be. That might be Shadow.
Yeah. I mean, it's very small on my screen, but there's probably some continuity. Yeah. Anyway, so the next frame, that little koosh ball that he gets shot with, the dart or whatever, that looks like a Brillo pad or like iron. What's it called? Is it iron wool?
Steel wool?
Steel wool. Thank you. Yeah, it looks like a ball of steel wool that he just like got hit with. No other movie would pick that dart shape, but that's what makes the guy pass away. I don't know what happens to this man.
I think this actually, not to go actually, I think this is a similar dart to the one in Old School where Will Ferrell shoots himself in the neck with it.
So it's got like a big, I'm looking at like the tail on a dart.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember if it's the same, but it might be. But yeah, he shoots himself in the neck. He's like, oh man, you got a freaking dart in your neck. That's awesome. I don't know if it's the same, but either way, he gets hit in the head, he gets hit in the arm, and then he shoots the driver with a dart. Where I think he like has to weirdly, I don't know how easily he does it. He has to swap him out of the driver's seat and put himself into the driver's seat, and the truck doesn't crash. I don't know how that happens.
Yeah, like when the driver's driving surrounded by cars being shot with grappling hooks, there's no effect on the steering. Truck just straight and narrow. It's like he's got cruise control on the steering wheel.
He does sort of steer back and forth, but that's very much on purpose. It's not like he's losing control. It's very much scripted for him. He's like, no, this is what I do because this is how you defend against people trying to hijack your car, your truck.
But you don't try that hard.
No. I don't think it's going to do anything. Obviously, as we see, it doesn't. All right. And this movie's a documentary.
What I'm learning to try.
So yeah, he hits presumably Vince a couple times, and he shoots him with a dart. He passes out, like he falls over, I don't know if they dump the body somewhere. Like I think obviously he's still alive. I think they just put him to sleep. Um, I don't know if they like be like we're gonna drop all this stuff off and then leave the guy in his truck for him to wake up and just be like, oh, I guess I'm gonna drive away. I guess it's just what's happening. But yeah, he hits him with a trank dart and then swaps into the driver's seat. Where what happens next would be, I think, in the next episode, but where they now have control of the truck.
And that's yeah, so I think that's episode 2 then, because do you have any other notes about this scene? I don't have a score call out, like I can't call out a rapper with 100 albums this time, so
No, does this, I don't remember, does this scene have any music? I guess
yes.
not, right?
So I've been trying, as songs come up and they're needle drops, I've been trying to Shazam them, see what they are.
Mhm.
And this one I think is just by the person who did the score, whose name I unfortunately don't have in front of me, but they did a hell of a job on all the score stuff. But it didn't pop up on Shazam, so is it real?
If it's not on Shazam, is it real?
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't answer that. It's probably somebody. If you're out there and you happen to listen to this for some reason, we're sorry.
Come on the show. Bring Vin.
Come drop all the stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bring Vin. Bring Michelle Rodriguez. We'll talk about. Well, look, she was just in the Dungeons and Dragons movie. We'll all play Dungeons and Dragons.
It all comes together. It all comes together with family.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of family, if you're part of the family and you've been enjoying this, please make sure that you're subscribed. And yeah, I think there's rating systems. I think that helps. That helps us get recognized. You can like and subscribe on YouTube. You can watch over on twitch.tv/Danotage. Anywhere where you get these things, make sure that drop the love. Let us know what you think so far. We're genuinely curious. We're gonna do these episodes. We're gonna do this podcast no matter what. But we do want to know what your favorite part of these scenes are. If there's something we missed in any part of it at all. If you want to just talk about Fast and the Furious in general. If you just want to talk about how this truck driver is yoked out of his mind and actually looks like a full-on stuntman with great teeth and probably a pretty handsome dude just driving a truck, I talk about that too. If not, if you just want to follow us, you can follow us over at Twitter and Instagram and all the social medias at Overcord, which is where Daniel, you can find him, and Danotage, where you can find me. And with that, thank you all so much for watching and listening. We'll see you all next time.
Family.